All right, so I'll go over
ahead.
the top 5 needs. I think need number 1 for the Leafs is a third line center. After the playoffs, I was really happy with Kerfoot's play in the playoffs, but still Dubas didn't trust him to take defensive zone faceoffs. And so that was left up to Austin Matthews. And you shouldn't be starting Matthews in the defensive zone so often. You need a third line center you can trust in the defensive zone. So a legitimate third line center. I would say penalty kill specialist. Their penalty kill was atrocious for most of the season. It seemed to really pick up once they brought in Nick Foligno, who is a penalty kill specialist. So someone that can help on the penalty kill throughout the entire year. A power forward, someone who can sit in front of the goalie on the power play and screen the crap out of them and tip some pucks in, get some garbage goals for Leafs on the power play. I thought Wayne Simmonds did a really good job at the beginning of the season until he hurt his wrist, and then he just wasn't the same, and they didn't have that presence anymore in the front of the net, and their power play obviously went to the shitter. Number 4, a power play quarterback with a bomb from the point. So Morgan Rielly, I mean, he's a fantastic offensive player, but he just doesn't seem like a threat at all on the power play at the top. Rasmus Sandin looked fairly well, but I mean, do you really want to trust basically a rookie being your power play quarterback throughout the whole season? I'm not sure. And last, we'll need a backup goaltender. I think Freddie Anderson's time with the Leafs is done. I don't see him being the starter for this team anymore. That's Jack Campbell. So get a cheap 1B, your backup goaltender after him.
Can you just quickly recount your 5 just very quickly?
Sure. Third line center, penalty kill specialist, power forward, power play quarterback, and a backup goaltender.
Sounds like to me like you guys are going to sign Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and just take off 2 of those things right there. Third line center, PK specialist. Oh my God, guy
there you go. You never know.
Like, honestly, okay. Let's hear your free agent signing.
Do I have to start with that? I guess I can start with that.
Oh, you start wherever you want, Ryan.
Okay.
Honest to God.
So I'm going to preface this by saying that I do not. I mean, what I'm about to propose is not going to happen because Dubas has basically said they're keeping the big 4. And I'm actually fine with that. I'm fine with taking the core 4 back for another try at it and hoping that you get, some more injury luck in the playoffs. Yeah. Like, they're, Marner and Matthews are just about to enter their prime. Nylander just entered his prime. I mean, Tavares has been in his prime for a while. He's starting to enter, the decline, but, you got to try again with that core. And, you have unfortunately been a bit unlucky in the playoffs. I mean, there's also some mental stuff they have to deal with, but, try again at least one more time. I'm fine with that decision. Having said that, for the purposes of being an armchair GM, that doesn't leave me with a lot of options and it's not that much fun. So I am going to pretend that we are trading a core player for this exercise.
Yep.
All right. So when I chatted before about potentially trading the core in one of our previous episodes, I mentioned how maybe Dubas will need to pull a Masai Ujiri and pull off a DeRozan for a Kawhi Leonard type of trade. And this proposed trade doesn't, quite match that, but it's pretty close. So the Leafs will be trading one of their best players, like DeRozan was, for a player who is one of the best at his position, who's coming off a pretty disappointing season. Only has 1 year left on his contract and has indicated he's not going to resign with that team. All very similar to Kawhi's situation before he was traded. So my trade is Mitch Marner and Justin Hall to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Seth Jones and Boone Jenner. Obviously, Marner is the DeRozan of this scenario, and Seth being Kawhi in that piece.
Okay, so Mitch Marner and
Justin Hall. Okay. For Seth Jones and Boone Jenner. So I think Columbus would agree to this. I'll make my arguments why. First off, they're starving for offense, and they'll be bringing in a guy who just finished top 5 in points in the league. He has multiple years left on his contract. Marner does. He's just about to enter his prime. And they also need to convince Patrick Laine to stay after making that big trade. And what better way to bring in a guy that just helped Austin Matthews win the Rocket? And Seth has already indicated he isn't re-signing there. So that plus they already have another elite D-man in Zach Werenski. I think they would say yes. From the Leafs standpoint, while their defense was better this season, I don't still think it was elite. And Rielly is good, but I don't know if he's that stud number 1 D-man that you need to win all the way. Seth, I think, is that. He's finished top 15 in Norris voting the past 3 years, not counting this year. He had an off year this year, but he's always up there in that Norris voting. He has a bomb from the point, which is what the Leafs need for the struggling power play as well. And then I also include Boone Jenner in that trade because he also fills out some of those needs I indicated before. They need a third line center. He's great at faceoffs, career 54% win percentage. He's a fantastic two-way player. He's a penalty kill specialist that also fits some of those needs. So the Leafs will be able to trust him in the defensive zone on faceoffs. He'll help the PK, and he brings a level of physicality that the Leafs need as well. So that is my trade.
Okay.
Free agent signing. I think the Leafs need to add a bit more scoring punch to that third line, yet still keep it defensively solid. I'm going to go after Blake Coleman for the free agent. Again, they were great. Their third line was great defensively, but horrible offensively. So I'm going to say I'll sign him for 3 years at, I had $2 million per, but you guys, maybe it'll be a little more than that. Maybe like 2.25 per.
I think there's going to be a lot of teams interested in Coleman, and I think he's getting a pay raise. But
yeah, well, he's 1.8 right now. He is a third line player, but yeah, he's like, if he wins the cup, well, he won the cup last year. If he wins the cup this year, maybe you have to raise that to 2.5. I think anything more than that for a third liner, I'm not paying that.
I get it, but I think somebody will.
Maybe you might be right, but
in
my scenario, that's what I'm paying for him. And then in terms of the Kraken, I mean, they're going to take either Kerfoot or Dermott, one of the two. In my scenario, I have them taking Kerfoot off my hands just to make things easier. So I'm just going to show you this. I was playing around with Cap Friendly.
Well, here it comes.
So there's my roster.
Did you design your own team?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you re-signed Hyman. Hey,
I re-signed Hyman.
Mike Hoffman. You mother.
Obviously, I have some other signings and trades here that I didn't touch on. I only touched on like the two big ones because we're not going to vote on every single.
You got Corey Perry too.
Oh,
yeah. You finally brought it back, did you?
The one I will say, because
Chris Dreger. What did you give up for that one? Huh?
He's a free agent.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's a free agent. Yeah. He'll probably go for more than $2 million, but I think we're only going to pay a backup goaltender to like 2.5, maybe 3. But to fit him, I put 2. But maybe if he wants more than that, then go after someone else. There's lots of goalies. Go get Jonathan Bernier or something. The only other player I'll touch on here is Alex Killorn, because he does fill that one other thing I said the Leafs need, and that's a power forward. Tampa, I think they were about to lose him or someone else off that roster before Kucherov ended up, magically getting hurt and they were able to put him on LTIR. That's not going to happen again. And so they're going to end up losing someone. So if I'm the Leafs, I mean, Alex Killorn is like the perfect kind of player that the Leafs need. He's a big power forward in their top 6 that creates havoc for goaltenders. I don't know if the Leafs have what it would take to get them, but like, what is Tampa going to need? They're going to need some roster players with small contracts and then maybe some like picks and prospects, right? So in my scenario, I traded Ilya Mikheyev and Travis Dermott, and then assortment of picks and prospects, whatever they might want for that. I'm not sure if it gets it done, but I mean, that's really all the Leafs would have to give. So in my scenario, they said yes to that, and I got Alex Killorn.
Okay.
Anyways, there's my team.
All right, so let's go with your first move here, which is your trade. So that is trading Justin Hall and Mitch Marner
for Seth Jones and Boone Jenner.
Okay, well, I like the trade only in the sense that I think it's crazy and fun for like hockey senses. It would be fun. Seth Jones, I think, is the fact that he's on a 1-year deal probably tells me that you don't end up making that actual trade occurring ever. But I like
unless the Leafs could agree to like talk to him before
re-signing
or something. But I agree. That's what the Raptors did, right? They got Kawhi for that one magical year. Then
they ran the risk and he left. Yeah. And DeRozan's still playing, doing well with the Spurs. So, but I will say I do like the trade. I don't think it's necessarily realistic, but I like if it could pull off. I think it would do something for the Leafs that maybe people aren't really willing to look at yet.
Well, and I look at that top 4 now, Muzzin with Jones on the top pair, and then Riley with Brody on the second pair. Like, holy crap, that is so much better than what it currently is.
Yep, for sure. Okay,
Adam, who do you vote for the trade? 'Cause
Yeah, I kind of like the craziness it brings. I think that yeah. I don't know. I don't know if Columbus would want more. Like I could see you know, their GM, he's kind of a master surgeon when it comes to that stuff. And
if Seth Jones had longer on his contract,
you think he'd probably get more?
Or Marner was older or Seth was younger, I would agree. Yeah. But the fact that he only has 1 year left and you're not going to resign him and you can bring in a guy who finished top 5 in scoring. And like I said,
better than my trade.
That's a good sell for Patrick Laine to stay. Like, hey, you want a chance to win the Rocket? Here's the guy that helped Matthews do it, right? So
they also don't spend more than a specific amount per player. Hey, like there's an internal cap there that they will not go over, which is another reason why they're struggling with UFAs right now. So paying Marner 10, like even for the Patrick Laine, Winnipeg had to hold some cash there. Hey, so just to make him fit into their internal cap. Right. So interesting. Okay, so that's your trade. So it's popular. It's mostly for the chaos factor that people think you're crazy and not realistic, but it's still fun. I actually really liked it. Okay, so your free agent signing
was Blake Coleman.
Honestly, Blake Coleman's, I think, an amazing pick. I don't think your cap is accurate at all, and I really do think people will pay more than him because I think there's teams where he's definitely going to play second line for. I will tell you, one of the most common names popping up for Oilers right now are two guys you touched on, Killorn and Coleman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I
think you might be right on that.
I do think somebody is going to be willing to throw.
How much do you think he's going to get? Like how many points?
I think he's going to get 3 million. Like close to 3 million.
Okay. Yeah. I said like maybe 2.5. Yeah. 3.
I just see it because he's
you might be right.
Yeah. He does your PK. He's strong. He's got great even strength numbers. And Killorn, if you can get Killorn, like holy frick. And I do think that's happening. Somebody's getting Killorn and it's not going to be.
It's either him or Palat. Like it has to be one of those middle guys for Tampa that they're going to have to trade away or lose to Vegas.
It's going to be like the same as it was before when it was what's his name? When the Chicago Blackhawks had to give away like Bufflin and Versteeg, right? All that.
Andrew Ladd.
Those lower guys will eventually have to go somewhere. But yeah, I think your trades or your free agent signings are great. I just think it's going to cost a little more than that.
You might. I think you're right on that.
Yep, thought it was good. I thought you like those are very viable acquisitions and upgrades at that position.
And I believe your Seattle Kraken expansion has lost Alex Kerfoot.
Yeah.
I'm not against it, but I wonder if you think it was Dermott was the other option. Hey,
Dermott would probably be the other. Although in my scenario, I traded Dermott to get Killorn, so maybe he's not even available. But
it's tough too because you have to protect X amount of guys.
You
right?
do.
Yeah. So if you're protecting certain guys, you're letting other guys go. It would be tough. But I think that makes sense to me, especially given the fact that there's not necessarily a ton of centers out there available. But I feel like Seattle has a chance to potentially grab some free agent centers. So it's nice to have solid depth guys in those roles. Adam.
Yeah, Kerfoot is a sure foot to fit the shoe of the Seattle Kraken.
There you go.
Offside.